Hello, everybody. Again, hello. Today we are going over something I found to be a little tedious, but also important. The worst division in baseball. But to be honest with you, it's only been that way because of a few bad things that have happened to a specific team, which is what we're going to go over today. So what we're going over today is really where the Chicago White Sox are, where they need to be, and where we think that they can be by the end of the season. Again, the rise of Eloy Jimenez finally coming back yesterday was huge for them, and then getting a few of their other people off of the DL or IL, will get them back to where they need to be. They're only a few games back, really not playing at anywhere near where they need to be, and so we want to kind of look into the White Sox and see why I still think they're going to win the division, even though they're down by about 5 games right now, maybe 5.5, and then we got to kind of go from there. So again, before we get into it, like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff that you guys like to do. Share this with your friends, smash the like button, and let's get into everything we need to do today. So when we look here at this, we're looking at the Chicago White Sox in the AL Central, okay? Now, right now, they're below 500, which is fine with all the injuries and stuff. I mean, they are playing below what they should be playing, which is fine, and we understand all that. But they're only 5.5 games back. They're 4.5 games back of the wild card. Now, I don't want to look at the wild card at all because I know that their whole shot of doing anything in this division and anything getting into the playoffs is going to be winning the division. And it can happen because Minnesota is playing very well right now, but they don't have the same roster that the White Sox have. And the White Sox definitely have the full roster, and they've been predicted from the very beginning of the season to win the entire AL Central, which is really, really, really bad. I mean, Detroit and Kansas City are two of the worst teams in baseball, which means they can definitely catch up on some of these deficits in the division when it comes to games behind and stuff like that. But yesterday, Eloy Jimenez came back. The White Sox beat the Twins in 10. It was huge for them because Eloy went 2 for 5 with 3 ribs and a big 3-run home run, which was huge for them. Anderson, Vaughn. When you look at the lineup here, Anderson, Vaughn, Robert, Abreu, Sheets, Jimenez, Moncada, obviously Yasmani Grandal's out when he's injured and stuff like that. But when he comes back in the lineup and he's hitting 6th or 5th, we have an extended lineup that most teams don't actually want to deal with here when it comes to the White Sox. And it makes it that much harder for some of these teams like Minnesota and Cleveland. I'm not even going to talk about Detroit and Kansas City because they really aren't going to be in the mix when it comes to this. But Cleveland and Minnesota, their pitching staffs are going to have a lot more stuff to deal with, and they're going to have a lot more stressed innings when Eloy Jimenez is in the lineup. Because if you make one mistake, he's going bridge and taking you out of the park. So when we look here, the thing that prevents them right now from winning the division and where they're currently at, and what we really need to look at is their projected starters. Dylan Cease is having a great year. Lance Lynn just needs to do what he always does. Michael Kopech is really good, but he has not developed into that. But the good thing is he's only like a number 3 or number 4. Johnny Cueto has been very good for them. He's a good pickup, and he's going to be, again, number 3, number 4, number 5. But Lucas Giolito needs to pick it up. He's having a really rough season this year. He's having a down year, but there's a lot of season to left go for the White Sox. And when we look at things like this, we need for them to understand that it's okay to have they've had not a bad beginning of the season, but they haven't had what they wanted it to be. Obviously, they would like to be 16 games ahead like the Yankees in the East. But they're playing in a weak division, and they have the ability and the actual overall lineup to make up 5 games in 2 weeks. And so when we look here at this, and the reason why I feel like the Chicago White Sox are going to end up being the best overall team in the Central, and they will be in the playoffs because of that, is because when you look here at the beginning of the season, this is strength of schedule based on where they're at, the strength of schedule, okay? At the beginning of the season, they had the 7th hardest schedule in baseball, which is, I mean, that's not good. I mean, nobody else in their division outside, nobody in their division is really even in the top 15 outside of the Tigers. And then everyone else has got a really easy schedule. Now we got the remaining schedule for the rest of the season. This is based on today's date. And then we go all the way. They have the easiest schedule for the rest of the year. They literally have maybe 8 games where they play teams that are playoff contention right now, not including ones in the division, where they have 4-game stint against the Astros and then 4-game stint against the Yankees and then Texas as well. And Texas could be a playoff team. They should be pretty good in the next couple months as well. They have a pretty easy schedule as well too. But it is what it is. So when we look here at this, we want to make sure that we're looking at why Eloy Jimenez coming back into the lineup is a huge deal. Now, he's been very, very injury prone since he came over from the Cubs. Even when he was with the Cubs in the trade for Quintana to them in like 2016, 15, stuff like that. He's been one of the best hitters that they've had in their farm system forever, and he was going to be a huge piece for the Cubs. He got traded across city to the White Sox, and as you can see in the first couple years, he was doing really, really well. OPS plus of 116, 139. I mean, he was, Silver Slugger in 2020. I mean, it was a limited size of games. I completely understand that, but that's fine. But then he got hurt last year and basically ended his entire season. And then he's been hurt for almost the entire year this year, but he is back now. Now, this guy has light tower power. He hits the ball an absolute ton. And when it comes to the Central, there's really no one else in the Central that you're looking at lineup-wise, and we'll go to Cleveland right here. Their projected starters. Shane Bieber is the only one you really have to watch out for. They have a few good pitchers, but nothing crazy. Like obviously Bieber is a Cy Young candidate every year. Detroit, no really person that's going to hold them back on the mound. I mean, Eduardo Rodriguez is still hurt. We don't know when he's going to come back. He still hasn't told them when he's going to feel good. But let's go to the leader of the division in Minnesota. And they have Joe Ryan, who has been hurt. He finally came back. Dylan Bundy's been doing okay. Sonny Gray hasn't been what he needs to be. Josh Winder's okay. Chris Archer's, he's old. He's past what he's supposed to be. Chris Paddock isn't who he is. And so the only thing that's going to stop them from winning is going to be their pitching, and especially their starting pitching. If Giolito can't figure it out, Lance Lynn can't just maintain what he normally does, and Dylan Cease needs to keep doing what Dylan Cease does, the Sox have an easy chance of winning the Central, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get the number 2 seed, because when you go back and you look at the standings here, you got the Yankees are obviously by far and away, and then Houston. They can easily overtake Houston. I know Houston's a good team, but they have a really tough schedule because they have to play Seattle, Texas. They play a lot of Yankees, Boston, Tampa, Toronto. Now, I don't feel like Boston, Tampa, Toronto are going to have a little bit better of an end of the year. That's completely different. But there's no way that somebody from the Central is making a wild card. If it's going to be, there's 3 wild card spots right now. It's all of the AL East. I know they're going to beat up on each other. I understand how that's going to be. But if somebody's going to make a wild card from a different division outside of the AL East, it's going to be either Seattle or Texas, or the Angels if they can put stuff together and figure it out, which it looks like they're not going to be able to do that. But I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle or Texas pop back up. So the White Sox need to win the division. And when we start looking at stuff like this, Cleveland and Minnesota, let's go back here to the White Sox. And we're going to look at the remaining schedule on the back end of the year. Now, the last half of the schedule for this is Detroit, Cleveland, Minnesota. They have 8 games here that they could end up taking back first place before we even get to the All-Star break. And then when we go past the All-Star break, we go to this. They have Cleveland, Colorado, Oakland, Kansas City, Texas, Kansas City, Detroit. Houston's a tough thing there. Cleveland, Kansas City, Baltimore, Arizona, Minnesota, Seattle. Seattle's another team that's fighting for a playoff spot. And then everyone else, San Diego right now is kind of down, but that's another team. They really only have 3 overall series that they have to worry about on the back half that aren't in division. Now, obviously, every single team that they play in division is going to be huge, but the Cleveland and Minnesota teams and those divisions, they have a lot of those coming up at the end of their thing. So there's plenty of time for him to get back into the race here and actually win the AL Central. Let me know what you guys think. To be honest with you, I think they're a lock to win the Central. I know Minnesota right now has got a 5.5 game lead, but I honestly don't believe that they're going to be able to hold on to that with the strength of the Chicago White Sox lineup and starting pitching and just their whole roster. That is if La Russa can stop being crazy and actually get stuff done for them. So when you get a chance, let me know in the comments. Again, smash the like button, share everybody that you guys want for more video, and we will see you guys next time when we go over probably somebody from the National League next week. We might probably go over the Padres just because they're starting to slip a little bit, and we need to see whether Tatis is coming back or not. So I appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next one.